everyone, and welcome to A Slice with Strife. I'm, of course, William Strife, and today I'm looking at a little bit of a game called Cube World. As you can see, this is a voxel-based game. Has a whole lot to, it has a whole lot of resemblance to the game Minecraft, as a lot of people have put, but I want to get to a point about this game, and it's the fact that this isn't really going to be much of a slice video, more than it is going to be, you know, kind of like a half-baked tutorial, I suppose you could call it, especially compared to what I'm used to doing. I'm going to show you a couple of things, the way that the game works, because right now, Cube World, you know, as you can see, it's a fully functional and running game, but it's in its extremely early alpha stage, so obviously there's going to be a lot of stuff that's still not fleshed out. There are going to be more things implemented later on, and, you know, most importantly, hopefully, the game will improve over time. So right now, it's kind of stripped down. It doesn't have all of the you know, whistles and bangers that you would find on a complete game. Very similar to how Minecraft was released in its alpha stage and was very simplistic, and there were a lot of things broken. Roughly the same thing with this game, except there's a whole lot less broken, but the backside of that is there's a whole lot less stuff. That being said, all of the mechanics are completely functional right now in the game, so without any further ado, let's just kind of get to it. I don't really know how I'm going to edit this video, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to walk out of the city, right here, and I'm going to venture off into the wilderness to show you some combat. And after I, you know, cover some basic combat and the way that things work, I'll cover character creation. Well, not character creation, but character building, the way that you level up, the way that you flesh out your avatar, and then I'll probably head on back into town and I'll show you some of the processes of what you can do with the goods that you have, crafting, and some basic things that'll help you to get moving on the game if you should decide to pick it up on your own. Low enough level? Nope. Nope. This is another thing. Because this is, this game very much so plays by the rules of games like World of Warcraft, or Diablo, or Torchlight. Enemies have levels. And so does the loot that they can possibly drop. So obviously red is way out of your range. Orange is a little bit easier, but it's still higher level than you. Blue, I believe, is right on par with you, and white, or maybe gray, is far below. I don't know. I'm such a low level that I don't think I've run into anything that I can just roll over yet. Just based on my level. Well, some sort of combat happened nearby. So here's a mole. I'm just going to go ahead and start by rushing in. Aha! Okay, so what I did there was I kept going with left click, and then it built up some special points on the MP bar at the bottom that I could spend. And that's the way that the rogue system works. It's very similar to what you might find in World of Warcraft, where there's a combo point system. Likewise, there's mana and stamina for classes such as rangers and mages. Better not mess with that. It'll wipe the floor with me. And also, similar to massive online games, MOGs, if you will, there are items out in the wilderness that you can pick up and gather. But unlike a lot of the games out there, you don't have to have, you know, a special item or, say, a pick for mining to be able to pick up the items. You just... It's a weird cancel sound, but I can't pick up any more of these. All you do is you attack the item to break it down so you can take its parts. But there are other things in the world, such as these health flowers, which is basically a little heart growing in the grass, that you can just pick. Plain and simple like that. Same thing goes for mushrooms and whatnot. And those mushrooms and flowers can be used in healthing. Those flowers and mushrooms can be used in crafting to create some of the restorative items that you can use whenever you're playing the game. So, really quick, these are the health restoring items that I have equipped. You know, a muffin, some soup, a pineapple slice, a life potion, and a mushroom spit. So the big thing about these items is that food items you can only consume whenever you're sitting down, and when you're sitting down, you cannot attack. However, potions, you can run and drink them at the same time. So they're very, very important in the middle of combat for you to use. Next up, let's see, is this orc over here? Ooh, hey, I found some cotton. Now, because this game is very much so based off of, you know, the creed of massive online games and whatnot, one of the larger problems that it faces right now is the fact that if you're adventuring alone, you're probably not going to have an easy time taking anything out. Because just the basic enemies in this game that you first encounter, they're pretty powerful, and the leveling system really is designed with multiplayer in mind. So if you don't have anyone else to play with, you're going to be having a difficult time. That's the reason why I am only level 4. Obviously, I'm very busy. I can only dedicate so much time to this game, despite my vested interest in it. But on top of that, it's not exactly easy to level your character up or to engage in combat and survive without some sort of an ally. Now, I think I haven't really shown you guys much combat, but God, the lands are so desolate. The thing about this game is that it's procedurally generated, and what that means is that you can choose a world seed whenever you create a new game, and it will create the world as you move further. The game is created as you roam into new territories. Those territories don't exist until you reach those areas. And how those areas are constructed are based on the world seed that you give it at the beginning. So, you know, it's a nice way of knowing that you're playing in the same world as someone else. In my case, I think I used my birth date for the world seed, but because it takes after a lot of massive online games, it's really difficult to survive and level up, at least at the very beginning, on your own. We've got a band of elves. You have to be careful about these people, because they will attack you sometimes. There's no telling if they're hostile or not until you get too close to them, and then you find yourself running away. But another bit of the controls, if you click middle mouse, the mouse wheel, you will dodge and you will roll. And unless they fix it later on, right now... Oh, here's another thing. If you hold down control, you'll try to scamper up the wall. And obviously, you have only a limited amount of stamina, so you can't do that forever. Another thing is that if you fall from a high place, obviously, you're going to take damage. But a really good tip is that if you can time it right, if you... my timing is horrible. If you time it just right, and roll just as you hit the ground, you won't take any damage no matter how high the fall is. They may fix that at a later date. It might be something that Wale doesn't want in the game. Wale is the developer, for those of you who are unaware, but they may fix it at a later date. Here, we found a cat. Now, there are a lot of animals roaming out in the world that are not necessarily hostile to you. And while I would love to tame this cat for it to be my pet, because that's what these random animals, that's what their purpose is, I'm a cat person. I would love to have a cat as a companion, but I don't have the material to basically befriend them. So I'm just going to open up my inventory here, and this is the pet tab, and I have all of these foods that I can use to tame animals. Most of them I don't actually know what animal they're used to tame. I have a waffle, a cinnamon roll, a white chocolate bar, a cereal bar, and a fruit basket. But I think it's cotton candy can be used to tame sheep. So I've tamed myself a little sheep, and I have this. He's my companion, he's my buddy, he helps me out in combat and whatnot. So I'm just going to come over here, and I'm going to attack this radish. And this little guy is actually pretty good. He can do a lot of tanking on his own. And if he should die, he doesn't die permanently. He'll just pop up again later on. after a couple... I don't even think it'll take a full minute for them to respawn. Now, over here is one of the randomly spawning campgrounds that you can find all over the map. Now, campgrounds serve several purposes. Obviously, they're going to be a nice, well-lit area if you find yourself out in the middle of the wilderness in the middle of night. And once it gets to nighttime, it's literally next to impossible to see anything. So, that can be a real hindrance on your capabilities. Oh, crap! Ooh, I gotta run. I don't think I'm gonna survive. Ooh, gotta drink. So here you can see that I've been unlucky enough to run into a band of elves. Yeah. This is not going to work out. I gotta keep running. Now, these guys are going to pursue me for a long, long time, and that's actually one of the biggest drawbacks of the game thus far. It's the fact that once you've been tagged, once some sort of an enemy mob, whether it be other NPCs or just a monster of some sort, they will pursue you to great lengths. More so for these humanoid creatures, though. They are far more persistent, they will follow you for much longer distances, and it's really just a big pain at this point, because if they're way over your level, they'll wipe the floor with you. That being said, there's no real effective drawback to death at the current moment. You just respawn at some of those sort of cherub-like statues that you've seen me pass by, a couple of them at this point. And as you can see, they're still following me, even after they were distracted by that, basically, llama. I'm gonna bring up the map. Okay, yes, I am headed in the right direction to head back to Kurok City, because I've basically shown you everything you need to know about the wilderness here, and those particular little heart flowers serve a major purpose because they're used in crafting healing potions that you can use in the heat of battle, which is phenomenally useful, especially if you're playing the game solo like I have been. Okay, so here I am. I've returned to town. Skip the long trip for you guys. That's another thing about this game. Because the world is procedurally generated and it's kind of lacking the shine of lots and lots of different things to do, it's mostly just an enormous, vast, empty landscape with a couple of dungeons and forests with particularly difficult baddies sitting inside that you can venture out and basically run through. But there's really kind of a lack of stuff to do at the moment, and the amount of running in this game, if you can't stand spending lots of time just basically running in one direction to try to find something new, then you're probably not going to have a good time yet. But like I said, I've come back to the town, which is just right over there, and this is a farm field where there are a bunch of pumpkins. I'm not going to pick any of these up, but you can harvest these pumpkins at will. And there are also fields with pineapples in them that you can take, and then if you find a campfire, you can craft some of the food that you can use to heal in between battles. Now, crafting plays basically a major role in this game. Basically a major role. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. No, crafting... Whoa! Whoa! I got an ornery little undead prick. Oh, no you don't. Don't you... Guy tried to drink a potion on me. Okay, so, in between missions, you can, well, in between battle, you can eat your food and whatnot and regenerate health, obviously, but one of the major reasons why you're going to ever bother coming back to town is because it's where the shops are, and it's where you can... Come on. Ah, there we go. Canceling the eat animation, you basically have to attack. Jumping doesn't do the job for some reason. But anyways, one of the major reasons why you're going to want to come back to the city is obviously to sell off your gear and do some crafting. Now, there are all sorts of materials out there. There are ore deposits, there are cotton plants, there are wooden bushes where you can collect wood from, and those all serve a purpose. And the cities are split up into districts. If I actually bring up the map here and I zoom in a little bit, you see, it gives me the district names: Crafting District, Pet District, Adventurer District, and Trade District. Now, these signs that you're seeing on the map here, they don't pop up by default. You have to get close enough to the actual building in the world space for those signs to pop up. But over here are a couple of inns. So, why don't we check that out? All of the menus still function whenever you're in the map. There's none of the controls are disabled just because you go into one menu. So anyways, let's pop over to an inn here. And like I said already, it gets hopelessly dark in the middle of night. And even though you have a little lantern that you can use, just zoom out, hit F, you have a lantern, and it does illuminate the area. And as you can see, it does brighten things up. But it's far from a good light source, considering how dark things get. Excuse me, So, this is the reason why inns are so phenomenally important. While you can go upstairs, and you can actually sleep in the bed like this, and it does regenerate your health at a pretty quick pace, it doesn't pass the night. So, let's just get out of that. What does switch you back to daytime, though, is talking to this innkeeper, or any innkeeper for that matter. The only catch is that if you talk to them, right now it plays a deafeningly loud little tune. So I'll definitely mute it. I'll quiet it down for you guys. Oh my god, she's climbing my skill. Huh. Okay. Wow, that was way too loud. That busted my eardrums because I'm wearing headphones right now. But what it does is it sets the time back to 7 o'clock in the morning, which is extremely useful whenever because it takes forever for days to pass in Cube World. But that's all of that said about inns and whatnot. The next thing to cover would certainly be crafting and the like. So one of the things that you need that are that's absolutely necessary to be able to heal yourself are glass flasks. So I have more of these items than I can carry, but I do have a host of glass flasks to fill up in my inventory. But before I go to do that, I have all of this loot from my adventuring that I've been doing, and there's a whole lot of things that you can pick up, but it has to be for the correct class, and because I'm playing a rogue, I can't wear armor for a ranger or a mage or anything like that. So all of these, you know, you can see their class name in red, which means that I can't wear them. So I'm just going to sell these off by right-clicking them. It's a little bit of a loud noise. Probably edit it down. Can't use any of those. Okay, so that's everything. I'm not going to sort through all of my gear at the moment. And there are also formulas here that you can purchase from vendors, and they're also dropped by mobs at random. These formulas allow you to have new crafting recipes, but unfortunately, not all the formulas can be used by your class. They're still class-based, so these are for warrior. I'm just going to sell those off. And in this tab right here are my materials and ingredients. Now, here are all of my heart flowers, which I can use in combination with water flasks to create health potions. This is a radish slice from that radish that I killed earlier. I actually have a lot of them. These can be combined with mushrooms, these purple mushrooms, if I'm not mistaken, to create special healing food that's more effective than, say, pumpkins or pineapples. And I've also got iron and silver and emerald and just all sorts of materials. And just close that. There we go. I've done everything there. So that was the general store, and that's the item that they have above the little bag. There's more stores hanging around here, though. For instance, just around the corner here, there should be an armor shop. There's the weapons store. And up here, aha! This is the identifier. So if I come in here and I talk to her. So, in games like World of Warcraft, more so Diablo and Torchlight and those type games than anything else, there are items that you cannot use until they've been identified, as in, like, you pick up a sword, but all of the magical attributes on it are hidden. Well, in this game, instead of picking up items where you already know, but just by looking at, oh, that's a sword, in this game, instead, you are given leftovers, which I'm almost entirely certain determine... No, I don't seem to have any leftovers. Leftovers, I'm almost entirely certain what they become is determined whenever you give them to an identifier, so they have the potential to be anything. Correct me if I'm wrong there, I'm not entirely certain. But instead of getting, you know, unidentified items, you get leftovers that turn into items once you give them to an identifier. Okay, so we've moved over into the crafting district now. Well, will be in a moment. Still in the pet district. Here we go. This is the crafting district, no doubt, because this is the sawmill. And with the sawmill, you can access these tables that they have, a workbench and a wooden saw. You use the wooden saw to create wooden cubes. And creating stuff is really simple. You just select the item from the list, assuming you have the recipe, and you click on this little icon down here, and there you go. Now, obviously, it can get a little bit of... It can get a little bit tedious because you have to keep clicking the button, and timing is essential if you want to craft everything in rapid succession. That being said, you know, it's very, very simple and straightforward. Oop, I've got more wooden cubes than I know what to do with. So, here we've got the crafting table, and obviously there are certain things that you can only craft at the wooden crafting table, probably things like staves and whatnot, but I haven't found a single crafting recipe. See right here. For all of the weapons that I have, it says requires anvil. Same thing goes for pretty much everything that I have over here. It requires a loom. And over here is the tailors. So if you come over to the loom, this is what you use to turn your cotton yarn? I think? Yeah, okay. I have all of these cotton capsules, and the loom is what you use to create your yarn, which is used in turn to create all of the cloth apparel that you can wear. And then after you're done there, you can hop on over to the loom and craft anything that you feel you need to. I'm probably not going to make anything because, quite frankly, there's nothing in my crafting inventory that's superior to what I'm wearing right now. Oh, wait a minute, what's this? Oh, wait. What I'm wearing has a higher critical chance, which is far more important to me. As a rogue, critical is obviously the most important. This is the forge over here at the blacksmith's, and this is where you craft your silver and basically change your ores into cubes that you can use to craft items. But cubes have a secondary use. Ugh, oh my word, am I ever tired. Okay, here I have a customization bench, and this is probably the most important thing that you'll make use of, because this is how you can customize your weapons. Now, if I just right-click on any given weapon that I have, it'll bring it up in the customization menu right here, and then if I hold down middle mouse, I can rotate the item around. Now, what makes this so special is that right here, this is my right-hand weapon that I've been using, you can customize the look and the feel of the weapon. Now, you can't move the pixels or the voxels that are already in the weapon, the things that are in there by default, but it is possible to add voxels to it as well as remove the voxels that you have. Now, the catch is that once a cube is on a weapon, it cannot be removed and kept. If you remove it, you have to destroy it. So, in this case, I have a couple of cubes This is another unique feature. Unlike unlike Blizzard games, which have kind of set the standard, unlike other games which use socketing to allow weapons to have, you know, special sort of enchantments, Cube World makes use of cubes that you can use to actually physically customize the look of the weapon. So in this case, I've put a fire cube and an unholy cube on it, and those just kind of enhance the weapon in the damage that it gives off. It has unholy plus fire damage, and I picked up those cubes from fighting bosses in dungeons throughout the map. So, which, by the way, was not easy to do on my own. So that's what the crafting bench is for, and obviously the anvil is what you use to craft the more sturdy ammo of the warrior and whatnot, and also things like your dusty iron swords and whatnot. Ugh, Lord, I keep yawning. Cripe. Here, this is a respawn statue. Nothing special about it. So if you ever die, you'll respawn at any one of these statues that are found all throughout the world. And probably the last thing that I should point out to you is how to make a glass flask. First of all, well, not how to make a glass flask. You buy your glass flasks from the trader in town. That's the only way to get your hands on glass flasks. Now, naturally, you have to turn those glass flasks into water bottles in order to make use of them. So the way that I do that in town is I just jump into a well here. Unfortunately, bring up the crafting menu. It's not possible. Here we go. Water flask, see, requires water. I'm right next to a well, but it doesn't work. You have to actually be physically floating in the water for it to work. And you can create glass flasks. And a good tip is to, you know, basically max out how many, just buy as many glass flasks as you can, fill them up with water, go back to the store, and max out on glass flasks one more time, so that way you can be away from town for extended periods of time, and, you know, just pick up the health flowers in the wild as you go, and you can craft them as needed, because, you know, water is not something hard to come by in this game. There are rivers and oceans and lakes all over the place. So filling up your empty bottles with water when you run out of water flasks is no problem out in the field. The only thing that will hinder you on making tons and tons of health potions is whether or not you can find enough heart flowers. But they're a common sight, no particular problem. Just go ahead and craft the last of these. Another thing is that there is a stamina bar in this game, similar to how whenever you scamper up a wall, you get that stamina bar, and that same stamina bar is used whenever you're dodging. That stamina is also used to define how much you can increase your altitude whenever you hang glide. Now, let me open up the talent trees. There's one for pets, one for climbing, and one for swimming. So, oh dear. I seem to have to level up my climbing skill to use a hang glider. Isn't that nice? I just spent my money for nothing. Great. Well, that's how it works. But you have to put 5 points into one skill before you will unlock the next level of skill. So in this case, what I've been working towards is pet mastery, and each level of pet mastery increases the health of your pet, and, well, yeah, it just basically stops at that, increases the health of your pet. But the second tier allows you to ride the pet for fast traveling, and leveling this up makes your pet move faster so you can travel faster, which is enormously important considering how large these worlds can get, and at the current moment I don't think that there's any sort of fast travel enabled. Another thing to mention is that these bags and whatnot here, there's nothing special. You can't break them, there's nothing in them. These same items, though, I mean, exact same models, you will find in things like dungeons, and there will be things inside. So it's important to remember that just because you had an experience with a bag or a chest somewhere in town and it was empty, it doesn't mean that it's going to be empty everywhere you see one. Just the ones in towns are empty, or at least at current they are. That might be changing in the future as well. I think that's about it. There's not much else to say about the game. The way that I see it, I'm probably going to return, do 1 or 2 more videos over this a ways down the road as the game is updated, because right now there's not really a whole lot here in Cube World to hold my attention, because it's just the simple basic mechanics of run out into the world, kill stuff for the fun of it to level up, and try to get better gear. And, you know, while that's all good and fun, it's a very solid type of gameplay mechanic and system. It's not enough to carry a game on its own. I kind of need quests to be distracted by. Some people, you know, for some people, it's enough to dedicate lots of time to this game. I've talked to a couple of friends online, and they've absolutely become addicted to this game. I know someone who's up to level 37 already, and all I can think of that is just, wow. I can't believe you have been able to stick with the game as long as you have, considering that there's not much to do other than just slay monsters one after the other to level up. But, you know, to each their own. Right now, though, I'm not going to be playing too much of this game until it's updated to have some more interesting features, something to draw me in a little bit more, because right now the world feels a little bit too bland, and there's not enough content to kind of distract myself from the redundant process of kill to level to get better loot, and kill, level, get loot, level up to use loot, you know, repeat the process over and over again. But anyways, this has been Cube World, everyone. It's a fun little voxel-based game. It's in alpha right now. It's still being developed. No doubt it's going to be far more impressive the longer that it is fleshed out, especially now that it's in alpha, because there's going to be lots and lots of feedback coming back to the developer Wole and his wife. This is a game developed by a husband-wife team. Very interesting little fact. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you're interested, be certain to check the link down below to the website where you can purchase it. I definitely think that it's worth the money, and I've gotten enough time out of it to feel that the $20 that I spent on it was well spent. But until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.